Live from New Delhi, you're watching DD India Live, India's voice to the world. I'm Siddharth Bharadwaj. Coming up in the next 30 minutes. Iran fires missiles at Israel for the first time since April 8 ceasefire. Israel warns Tehran of grave mistake. Trump says he will press Netanyahu to hold back. OPEC Plus approves fourth oil output quota hike since Hormuz closure. 7 members decide to increase targets by 188,000 barrels per day from July. Armenian Prime Minister Nikol Pashinyan declares parliamentary election victory on the promise of European integration as voting counting continues. Magnitude 7.8 earthquake strikes southern Philippine island of Mindanao, triggering tsunami warnings for northeast Indonesia and Japan. Indian wrestlers conclude Ulaanbaatar Open wrestling tournament with 16 medals, including 8 golds. Dinesh Dhankar and Deepak bag gold medals. Tehran has launched its first missile attack targeting Israel since an early April ceasefire, marking a fresh escalation after weeks of negotiations on a potential deal to end the US-Israeli war with Iran. Iran's Revolutionary Guards called the attack a warning after Israel struck Beirut's southern suburbs earlier in the day, threatening wider strikes in the event of repeated aggression. Tehran has insisted any deal to permanently end the war must also halt the parallel conflict in Lebanon, and had warned that any new attacks on Beirut would trigger a full-scale resumption of hostilities. The Israeli military said its air defenses intercepted missiles from at least 3 barrages, with at least 10 ballistic missiles had been intercepted. Israel accused Tehran of committing a grave mistake with its assault, which Israel's military said amounted to 11 missiles, all of which were intercepted with no casualties. Iran's attack prompted US President Donald Trump to call Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu to advise against retaliation. On Sunday, Netanyahu's office announced the arm Hezbollah's fire towards Israeli territory. In an interview with US President Donald Trump, he said he would not unfreeze Iranian assets or lift any sanctions before a peace deal is reached. Trump said he would consider those steps after an agreement is concluded. Trump also said that he was not demanding that Lebanon be part of a short-term deal with Tehran.
How close are you to making a deal? Are we talking about days, weeks, months, Mr. President?
I think we're very close. We have a couple of points. They don't even seem like big points. They've conceded the fact that they will not have nuclear weapons. We had a clause in there that we will not develop nuclear weapons, and everybody was very happy with it except me. And I said, well, what happens if they not develop, but they go out and purchase, they acquire? I want to put the word, if they buy or purchase or acquire, you've got to have that in there too, because that's not developing.
Meanwhile, Tehran's international airport has suspended all incoming flights after Iranian missile strikes on Israel. According to media reports, the Civil Aviation Authority announced the suspension of all flights bound for the airport until further notice. This is the latest closure for Khamenei International Airport, which is one of 2 serving the capital. It had only reopened in April after being shut for weeks over the West Asia war. All right, and this is the breaking news that we are getting at this hour. Israeli military says it struck targets in western and central Iran. This comes hour after Iran fired a salvo of missiles at Israeli targets in retaliation for an attack on Beirut's southern suburbs. This is the breaking news that we are tracking at this hour on DD India. Israeli military says it struck targets in western and central Iran, and this comes hours after Iran fired a salvo of missiles at Israeli targets in retaliation for an attack on Beirut's southern suburbs. They also said this is a warning in order to cool down the West Asia crisis, the conflict which is there. This particular conflict between Israel and Lebanon, in fact, has to shut. Iran earlier launched its first missile attack targeting Israel since an early April ceasefire, marking a fresh escalation after weeks of negotiations on a potential deal to end the US-Israeli war with Iran. The Iran's Revolutionary Guards called the attack a warning. Tehran said any deal to permanently end the war must also halt the parallel conflict in Lebanon. This is one of the conditions that Iran has put out in order to shut the war with the United States, which is going on since February 28 and now has entered the 4th month. This is the big breaking news that we are tracking at this hour. Breaking news coming in. Israel's military says it struck targets in western and central Iran. And this comes hours after Iran fired a salvo of missiles at Israeli targets in retaliation for an attack on Beirut's southern suburbs. Already the ceasefire between Iran and the United States hangs in balance. And this is a new development that we are tracking at this hour on DD India. Big breaking news. The Organization of the Petroleum Exporting Countries, OPEC Plus, has agreed to raise all output targets by 188,000 barrels per day for the month of July. The decision was taken during a virtual meeting of energy ministers from key member countries, including Saudi Arabia, Russia, Iraq, Kuwait, Kazakhstan, Algeria and Oman. This increase follows similar production hikes approved in recent months. OPEC Plus said the move is aimed at supporting stability in the global oil market. The 7 core OPEC Plus members have already increased output quotas between April and June by nearly 600,000 barrels per day. However, actual production has remained lower than expected due to export cuts by some Gulf producers. OPEC figure shows average production fell to 33.19 million barrels per day in April compared to 42.77 million barrels per day in February. With Sunday's decision, the July increase of 188,000 barrels per day matches the revised June hike, which had been reduced from earlier monthly increases to account for changes in participation, including the UAE's exit adjustments. And oil prices rose 2.4% on Monday when markets reopened after the weekend, reflecting renewed concerns over Iran's first attack on Israel since ceasefire. In early trading, Brent crude was up 2.4% at $95.32 per barrel, while West Texas Intermediate was 2.3% higher at $92.59. Energy prices have made wild swings since the April ceasefire was agreed. Prices have floated around the $95 mark in the past week as traders weighed the long-term impact of the war on global energy flows. And news from Armenia now. Armenian Prime Minister Nikol Pashinyan declared victory on Monday in a parliamentary election after results from just over 1/5 of polling sites showed his party with around 54% of the vote. Early results showed Pashinyan's ruling Civil Contract Party leading with 52%, with Russian-Armenian billionaire Samvel Karapetyan's Strong Armenia Alliance trailing behind at 23%, according to the Central Election Commission. Ex-President Robert Kocharyan's Armenia Alliance was third with some 9%, followed by the prosperous Armenia Party, which cleared the electoral threshold with 4.6%. The commission said turnout was 59%. In a presser in the early hours of Monday morning, Pashinyan said his civil contract party had prevailed, calling it a historic victory.
On June 7, 2026, regular elections to the National Assembly were held, and as a result of the elections, the Civil Contract Party won, and it is the Civil Contract Party that will form a single-party government. I express my gratitude to all the citizens of the Republic of Armenia who took part in the elections and by freely expressing their will, cast their votes.
In Kosovo, Prime Minister Albin Kurti's party won the parliamentary election on Sunday but fell short of the majority. Kurti's party was leading with 43% of the vote, with 99.4% of the ballots counted. The party would still need coalition partners to form a new government and secure the two-thirds majority required to elect a new president. The Democratic Party of Kosovo was polling at 21%, while the Democratic League of Kosovo stood at 18%. The party won 51% of the vote in December. The Kurti's party up from 42% in February 2025, but could not agree with other parties on a candidate for the ceremonial presidency. Kosovo aspires to join the European Union, but has lacked a fully functioning government for much of the past year. And polls closed in Peru on Sunday as voters decided the country's next president in the 2026 runoff election between right-wing candidate Keiko and left-wing rival Roberto Sanchez. Following the closure of polling stations, exit polls showed Fujimori with 50.7% support and Sanchez with 49.3%. This election marks Fujimori's fourth time in a presidential runoff as she lost the 2021 race by just over 0.2% votes. Crime and anger over chronic political instability dominated the race to choose the country's ninth leader in a decade. Earlier, April's first round was marred by logistical problems and a vote count that took weeks to complete, deepening distrust in Peru's creaking institutions. The winner will replace interim president Jose Maria Balcazar from July 28th. Tsunami warnings were issued after an earthquake of magnitude 7.8 struck off Mindanao in the southern Philippines on Monday. The German Research Center for Geosciences said the earthquake struck at a depth of 10 kilometers, prompting tsunami warnings in the Philippines and Indonesia. Philippine President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. said the government is coordinating with local officials, ordered suspension of classes in affected areas and directed all agencies to respond immediately. He urged residents to follow tsunami warnings and move to higher ground. The quake caused cracks in a police building in Alabel, Philippines, but no casualties were immediately reported. The Pacific Tsunami Warning Center stated that tsunami waves were possible within the next 3 hours along the coasts of the Philippines, Indonesia, Palau, Taiwan and Papua New Guinea. Japanese authorities also issued a tsunami advisory along swathes of its Pacific coast. And still to come on this edition of DD India Live. We'll tell you about how India's infrastructure is transforming under Prime Minister Narendra Modi's visionary leadership, which is further strengthening connectivity across the country. Alexander Zverev clinches French Open crown with dramatic 5-set victory over Flavio Cobolli. Oceans are very important to human lives. It's World Ocean Day today, and we'll tell you this year's theme and the significance it carries along.
Diplomacy is not about freezing advantageous situations and saying that will stay there forever. Diplomacy is about planning for those ups and downs and putting in place structures and relationships which do. It's not an impatient business. It's not a knee-jerk response to what happens. Foreign policy has a certain calculation. It has a certain, it needs preparation. It has a timeline. That's how it works. You're there for your neighbors when COVID hits them, when they have a fertilizer crisis, when they have a power crisis, when, they're short of fuel. Many of them sometimes have, food issues, whatever it is. that sense that look, a growing India, a rising India is to your advantage.
Jharkhand will mesmerize you with majestic nature, rich heritage and colorful culture.
Johar.
Johar. It fits perfectly.
Thank you.
Full workout हो गया.
Ready?
Postcards from Jharkhand on National Geographic.
You're watching DD India Live. I am Siddharth Bharadwaj. The death toll in the deadly June 3rd Malviya Nagar fire incident has risen to 22 after another foreign national died during treatment on Sunday. Earlier in the day, the Delhi police brought Keshav Negi, who was employed as a cook in the hotel, to the incident site as part of the ongoing investigation. The police said that the investigation has revealed that the cook's negligence led to the fire. The police have also detained several other individuals in relation to the fire. During the investigation, authorities allegedly discovered multiple safety violations and serious deficiencies in the building's fire safety infrastructure. Major Abhilasha Barak, currently serving with the United Nations mission in Lebanon, has been conferred the UN Military Gender Advocate of the Year award. Major Barak is serving as an engagement team commander and gender focal point within the United Nations Interim Force in Lebanon, or the UNIFIL. The award is for her outreach efforts with women and girls during her deployment in the West Asian nation. She is also the first woman combat helicopter pilot in the Indian Army. Prime Minister Narendra Modi congratulated her, describing the honour as recognition of her exemplary service and also of India's long-standing contribution to United Nations peacekeeping efforts. He said that her achievement is also an inspiration to countless young Indians, especially our daughters, who aspire to serve the nation and humanity. From highways to high-speed rail, airports to ports, India's infrastructure push under Prime Minister Narendra Modi is reshaping connectivity and logistics at an unprecedented scale. Through mega initiatives like PM Gati Shakti, Pragati and Sagarmala, the government is aiming to build an integrated multimodal infrastructure network to power long-term economic growth. More details in this report.
Over the last 12 years, infrastructure expansion has become a key pillar of the government under Prime Minister Narendra Modi. Significant emphasis has been placed on developing highways, expressways, airports, metro networks, ports and high-speed rail corridors to strengthen connectivity and boost economic activity. The PM Gati Shakti National Master Plan is a comprehensive initiative to improve multimodal infrastructure connectivity across India's economic zone. Anchored on 7 key sectors: railways, roads, ports, waterways, airports, mass transport and logistics infrastructure, the holistic development plan involves an estimated investment of Rs 100 lakh crore. The plan uses a dynamic GIS platform developed by the Bhaskaracharya National Institute for Space Applications and Geoinformatics for real-time project mapping and integration of over 200 data layers. Launched in 2015, Pragati, or proactive governance and timely implementation, has fast-tracked projects worth more than Rs 85 lakh crore. Pragati ensures real-time coordination between the centre and states under direct prime ministerial supervision. Under PM Modi, India has witnessed a major push in expressway development. Notable examples include the Delhi-Dehradun Expressway. Inaugurated on April 14, 2026, This corridor reduces travel time between Delhi and Dehradun from 6 hours to just 2.5 hours. The 594-kilometer Ganga Expressway was officially inaugurated on April 29th this year. Built at an estimated cost of Rs 36,230 crore, the corridor reduces travel time between Meerut, part of the National Capital Region, and Prayagraj from 12 hours to roughly 6 hours. According to official data, India's national highway network expanded by nearly 61% between 2014 and 2025. Building upon the original 2016 Regional Air Connectivity Scheme, the Union Cabinet approved the launch and implementation of the Regional Connectivity Scheme, modified Udan for a period of 10 years from 2026-27 to 2035-36 with a total outlay of Rs 28,840 crore. Apart from strengthening domestic aviation infrastructure, the government has also expanded international air connectivity through the development of new global aviation hubs, including the Noida International Airport at Jewar. In the 2026 budget, the government has announced a Rs 16 lakh crore expansion blueprint to build 7 new high-speed rail corridors. Significant projects under execution include the Mumbai-Ahmedabad high-speed rail project, which is receiving technical and financial assistance from the government of Japan. India has become the third largest operational metro network in the world. India has a coastline of more than 11,000 kilometers. Building on this, Sagarmala initiative promotes port-led development. Around 845 projects, estimated at Rs 6.06 lakh crore, have been taken up under the program. These initiatives highlight the government's emphasis on strengthening connectivity, enhancing logistics networks, and developing modern infrastructure to support India's long-term economic expansion.
And time now for some sports news. India concluded the Ulaanbaatar Open wrestling tournament with 16 medals as Dinesh Dhankar and Deepak bagged gold medals in their respective categories in Mongolia. Dinesh produced an impressive campaign before edging out Yedige Kasimbek of Kazakhstan in the gold medal bout. Meanwhile, Deepak added a gold medal in the 61 kg category after beating Kazakhstan's Asel Aytakin 6-0. In the final. India also secured 2 bronze medals on the concluding day of the competition. In the men's 57 kg division, Sumit bounced back from his quarter-final defeat to register a 6-3 win against Kazakhstan's Abzal Okinov. Mohit Kumar claimed bronze in the men's 65 kg category after defeating Kazakhstan's Osimzan Dastanbek. Earlier, in the 97 kg category, Vicky bagged bronze after defeating Mongolia's Gankhuyag Ganbaatar. India concluded the 4-day competition with a total of 16 medals, which included 8 gold medals. Alexander Zverev finally secured his maiden Grand Slam title with a dramatic 5-set victory over Italy's Flavio Cobolli in the French Open final. The second seed became the first German man to win a major tournament since Boris Becker at the 1996 Australian Open with a 6-1, 4-6, 6-4, 6-7, 6-1 victory. After 4 hours and 16 minutes, it was Zverev's 4th Grand Slam final and second at Roland Garros after some heartbreaking near misses in his career. Zverev had previously lost in 6 Grand Slam quarterfinals and 7 semi-finals alongside his 3 final defeats. Cobolli was bidding to become the first Italian man since Adriano Pannata to win the French Open in 50 years. The 24-year-old had never even played a Slam semi-final before, let alone a final. The ocean is the lifeline of our planet. It gives us oxygen, supports millions of livelihoods, and helps regulate the climate. But pollution and climate change are putting this vital ecosystem at risk. On World Ocean Day 2026, the focus That's all for this edition of DD India Live, but let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. For those on the go, you can get all the latest news and updates from India and across the world on DD India mobile app. The app is available on both Android and iOS platforms, and you can scan the QR code on the screen to download now. We'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Siddharth Bharadwaj from all of us here in Delhi. Thanks for watching DD India Live.